How are environmental costs relevant to activity-based management? Well, activity-based management simply examines the profitability of every aspect of the business's operations, all of the activities, so that you can ultimately arrive at a more effective and efficient process of production. Now, uh, activity-based management generally employs activity-based costing. And this is the approach where once you identify the individual activities that go into the production process, you assign the overhead costs to those specific activities. So with any object, which is your process, your particular job, you assign costs that are directly incurred by that job or by that unit to that job or unit. But overhead is a little bit more difficult. So what you do in that regard is you seek to identify aspects of the operations that can be used as activities to measure the extent to which overhead costs should be allocated to that unit or that project. So with that being said, you would identify these activity drivers and you would divide overhead costs by those activity drivers to get an individual unit cost for that activity. And so to the extent that activity is present in that unit or that project, you would assign that cost to it. And so that's how you assign costs to the activity. Now, environmental costs can be, again, one of those costs that is part of overhead that you assign based upon an activity that is incurred in any given type of unit. Or the environmental cost could be a direct activity driver. So to the extent that any of these environmental elements are present within an operating unit, then you assign a portion of overhead cost to that unit based upon that activity that's related to the environment and how it occurs there. So that is how environmental cost could relate to activity-based management. You would assign the cost relevant to dealing with that environmental concern either to overhead, then allocate as portions of some activity driver, or you would identify it as an activity driver that, again, assumes or incurs some allocation of the overall overhead incurred by the business or production process. So that's an explanation, again, of activity-based management and environmental costs.